As many electronic components, also hard disk drive become hot in operation. The temperature of the hard disk drive should be carefully controlled because of two reasons. First of all, there is a functional limit. If it is too hot, it won't work anymore. But this functional limit is between 60 and 70 degrees of hard disk drive's internal temperature. Most of systems don't reach this high temperature. However, there is also a reliability issue. And this is much more critical because a hard disk drive has its optimum reliability, which we measure in annualized failure rate, how many hard disk drives out of a population may fail within a year, until 40 degrees of average lifetime internal HDD temperature. So if you increase your hard disk drive temperature in average significantly over 40 degrees, you have to expect higher failure rates. At 55, in average, it's already 0.8%. It's still low, below 1%, but higher than 0.4%. So if you want to run your hard disk drive with the best reliability, try to keep them below 40 degrees. That's very important. And let's check it in our laboratory. Let's check several systems and see what's the temperature of the hard disk drive, how they behave, and what can we do to keep them cool. Of course, you can measure your HDD's temperature with an infrared thermometer like this. And by the way, we have confirmed that a proper infrared thermometer will give you an accurate value if you measure on its surface. However, in operation, the hard disk drive is connected somewhere in the system, sometimes buried in racks or boxes. You may not have physical access to it. The most convenient way to check the internal temperature of a hard disk drive in operation in a system is to read out the internal temperature with the smart values. The smart values or smart attributes is a set of data for monitoring and diagnostics, and you can read it out with third-party tools like smartmon tools, where the command would be smartctl-a and then targeting to your device. And here you can see the smart attributes of that HDD. The smart, among other things, which could be interesting as well, the smart attribute number 194 is the internal temperature. So we can see that our hard disk drive is running at an internal temperature of 30 degrees, which is very healthy because this one is in an enterprise rack well cooled. And we can also see that its minimum was 19, its maximum was 36. So we don't have to worry about the temperature of this hard disk drive. For integrated storage boxes like NAS systems, desktop or rack mount, and many other systems, there's rarely full access to the smart data, but the GUI of the system usually can tell you about the health status of the hard disk drive, including its temperature. So for example, in this 2-bay NAS, we have installed 2 hard disk drives of 22 terabyte, and one is at 43 degrees. The other one is also at 43 degrees. The operating temperature here in our room is close to 28 degrees. So I would say it's a healthy condition. 43 is just a little bit over the limit of the 40, but not that much. And if your environment does not go beyond 28-30 degrees, which usually does not happen over a long time, you can feel comfortable with a situation like this. Another NAS model shows the temperature in this way. "42 degrees, 41 degrees, 42 degrees, healthy situation as well. Just watch your temperature from time to time and make sure it does not exceed that level. Here's another one, 44, 44, 43 and 41 degrees. Yeah, 44 is a little at the border. However, as I said, it's 28 degrees around here. If this NAS is operated kind of at the normal office of an average of, let's say, 21, 22, 23 degree, should be fine as well. If you see a 50 here, you should do something. Put your NAS at the cooler place or tune the fan or install smaller hard disk drives or hard disk drives with lower power consumption. By the way, there are two SSDs in this NAS as well, and they are running at 49 and 55 degrees, but that's no problem. For semiconductor components without moving parts, up to 60 degrees, there's no reliability issue. High-density top-loader JBODs like this, with 60 or up to 100 HDDs, represent another challenge for managing HDD temperature. Because in boxes like this, you have several dozens of hard disk drives arranged in rows behind each other. Yeah, you can imagine the cold air coming in. For the first rows, they're well cooled, but let's carefully check the temperature of the rear rows. As for systems like this, you can also read out each HDD's value, internal temperature value, with the smart attributes. However, the GUI and management tools of RAID controller and HBA may also offer the temperature information of the hard disk drive. For example, in this case, we can see that the hard disk drives in the lower slot numbers, which are the front hard disk drives, are operating around 36 degrees, 34 degrees. So the lower number hard disk drives in the first rows are well cooled. If we move further inside the chassis, we can see temperatures of 39 degrees, 40 degrees, 44 degrees. No, these are inside the system. Hot air coming from the front drives is now transferred to the rear drives and heated up even more. So as we go deeper in the system, we are at 47, 48. Let's say the maximum seems to be 48 degrees for that slot. It's a little over the safe temperature. Yeah, on the other hand, as I said, we are here at 28 degrees. If it was 24 degrees, this would be 44. That should be okay. Yeah? So also here, the advice for data center operators. Of course, you may save power if you run at 25 or 28 degrees instead of 21 or 20 or 19. Yeah? But 48 degrees in average over a long time for this hard disk drive will already reduce the reliability. So think carefully about it, and if ever possible, make sure you stay below 45 or 44 degrees. Digital or network video recorders use hard disk drives as storage components for their surveillance data as well. And they represent also a challenge for the temperature of the hard disk drive because they are often used and operated in non-well-controlled thermal environments like cabinets, reception rooms and so on. So we wanted to check this video recorder model with a 10 terabyte high capacity hard disk drive. It's a lot for such a small model, but it's probably the maximum some user would like to install for long retention times. So the temperature of this one is very hot. Well, there's no fan in here, and it's a very small and lean construction. And actually probing it with our tool, it's almost 55 degrees. If this is real, then it's too hot, and a hard disk drive like this should not be advised. So let's check it in detail and let's confirm it in the graphical user interface of that network video recorder. Under device and storage device, it tells us that this hot hard disk drive is operating at 55 degree internal temperature, which we already noticed, way too high. This model also gives us the smart values, and also here you can see the 194 is the operating temperature at 55 degrees. 55 degrees is simply a reliability concern. I doubt that this hard disk drive will survive 4 or 5 years. So operating a model like this with a 10 terabyte or even higher hard disk drive and its high power consumption without an internal fan is not advised. A 2, 4 or 6 terabyte will work fine though. In any case, it's always a good idea to monitor and know the temperatures of your HDDs. They may function well up to 60 or 70 degrees. However, from 40 to 45 degrees, the long-term reliability may degrade slowly, but there will be a degradation. So ideally, you operate all your hard disk drives in average below 40 degrees, but in any case not higher than 45, 46 or 47 degrees. If you operate at such high temperatures, it can be compensated by periods of lower temperatures. But if your hard disk drives are constantly in a range of 48, 49, 50 degrees or higher, that is a concern, and you should do measures against it. Lower external temperature, better airflow, or modify chassis and design. Keep them at temperatures lower than 45 degrees is our advice to you, and then you will have a happy and cool long life with the Toshiba hard disk drives. Thank you for listening.